Okay, sorry about that. So this is the Deco color. This is the extra fine tip. I'll come over here. Ooh, sorry about that. I'm leaning on my tripod here. And you can see that this is very similar. Move my light a little there. Very similar to the Sharpie in coverage. I'm finding with the oil-based pens, hi sweetie, there we go, that if you have a fine tip, they are very, very liquidy, little juicy. Let me show you here. Sorry, my pen is, or my light is giving us a lot of glare. It's really juicy, just like with the gold, but they dry nicely and are less of an issue. Thank you, honey. And here is the Kraft Smart. I'm sorry, this was another alcohol base and I did not do it with the other two, so let me put it over here. This is the Kraft Smart. It works a lot like a oil base. I was surprised to see that it was alcohol based. But the coverage works really nicely.
Nice.
Thank you, honey. Oops, there we go. And finally, we're going to the water based, so I'll show you the Montana. Oops, get back in frame here. And here we go. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I did not want to like the Montana pens because they're pretty pricey and don't come in a lot of colors. But they are really, really wonderful pens. So you're going to see that that coverage, this is a water-based, is really nice. It's going to take a little while to dry, but you're going to see it's a very full coverage and it's water-based, which is wonderful. And I'm going to show you that in comparison with the Tombow, the last of the water-based. Sweetie, can you take that up here? Thank you, honey. Here's the Tombow. I am so sorry. That light is so... Let me lift that up. See if that makes a difference. Yeah, that's better. Okay. I think it is anyway. So here it is. It goes okay on the Polymer Clay. You're going to see streaks. And I'm going to give it a moment to dry, but I'm going to show you what happens when that does happen. In the meantime, I'm going to move on to you know what, let's do the resin next. Okay. So this is just a white poured resin. I'm going to start again at the top with the Copic. And by the way, I have written all of this down that I will put in the down bar for future reference. So let's start with the Copic. There you are. So you kind of saw this already with the Hello Kitty piece. It goes on fine, but it is streaky. Okay? Same with the Blick. Try to do my small circles here on the resin. Maybe that's not too bad. Yeah, that's good. That's a good sign. Got the cat again here. Tristan, come on. Not while I'm doing this, honey. Sorry guys, hold up. There we go. Okay, and then we'll go to the oil base Sharpie. Of course, this is going to work really, really well. In color and in coverage. And the deco color. Gorgeous. The deco color to me is a little extra wet. And I know because it's alcohol based, I'm sorry, it's oil based, it won't take too long to dry, it'll take a little bit of time. But it's so wet I worry about fine detail and it bleeding over. And again, I forgot the Kraft Smart. I'm sorry, I'm not a big fan of Kraft Smart, so I am going to keep forgetting it. Here comes the cat again. Oh, Tristan. Sorry, somebody really wants attention while I'm trying to do something. I'm sure none of you know what that's like. Okay, here's the Kraft Smart. It's again a alcohol based, like the Blick and the Copic. It has very good coverage actually on the resin. I think part of my problem with the Kraft Smart is that I want a finer tip. I want more colors. Sometimes they glob out color and sometimes you don't get any color at all. They're really just an unpredictable paint pen. Alright, so we did the deco color, the Sharpie, the Blick, the Copic. Now let's go to the water base. So here we are with the Montana again. You're going to find it works really excellently on the resin as well. Here we go. Excellent cover, and it's water-based, I'm telling you. The Tombow, on the other hand, which is also water-based, you can see right away that it starts beading up. It does not perform well at all on the resin. As a matter of fact, I can just, it doesn't even matter how much time I will give it, it just comes, whoops, I didn't even show, there we go, it just comes right off. So definitely not the Tombow on resin. And I'm going to go back to the wood chip here. I'm sorry, the Polymer Clay, and this was the Tombow. This blue here, and you can see it's coming. I'll even use a different finger. It's coming right off. So the Tombow is not a good option for these two media. And I can show you real quick the clear. And you will see this is actually deco art. This pink, it's streaky. This was the Kraft Smart. It was also streaky on the clear. This was the Blick streaky, the Copic streaky. This is the Montana perfect. The Sharpie perfect. So all of them had a little bit of a problem with if you've got a clear resin piece, you can really just see where it's not covering up. On the white, you don't really see that problem. So keep that in mind. So I think what we can say here is on the resin, the Copic and the Blick are only so-so. The oil-based are great. The Montana is fantastic. The Kraft Smart does a really good job if you can trust that pen, and the Tombow is completely out. And on the Polymer Clay, your oil-based are going to be wonderful. Your Montana is going to be wonderful. Tombow is completely out. Kraft Smart's pretty good. And the Copic and the Blick are so-so. Oh my goodness, I'm sorry. The Copic and the Blick are only so-so. The Copic definitely is a so-so. The Blick is pretty good on the Polymer Clay, actually. I really like that one a lot. I would say with Polymer Clay, my first choice is going to still be the Sharpie, and then the Deco Color, and then the Blick. And on the resin, I'm going to go with the Sharpie, the Deco Color, the Montana, if I choose to finally invest in those, and then probably the Blick. Okay, so let's go on to the wood chip. I'm not going to bother showing you the unfinished side right now in case anybody really wants to see that. The oil, I will just tell you, the oil-based paints did great on the untreated side. The alcohol bled a bit, but if you don't want any bleeding whatsoever, you definitely don't want to use them. The Montana did great as predicted, and the Tombow actually did really well. Let me show you the Tombow real quick. I'm going to do this corner in the Tombow. Tombow works well, I think, with more porous surfaces. Is the whole issue with that. Paper, wood. Okay, so there's the Tombow. And I will show you the Tombow on the finished side as well. We'll compare. Okay, so here's the finished side. Pretty much everything worked really nice on this, especially the Tombow. So let me just show you. The difference is the color. So on this side, the treated side with the Mod Podge, you're going to see it's a more true to color than that. So that's really what happens here, is it, and it'll dry okay. It's a little, it looks a little light, but it'll dry okay. Everything else worked great on the chip. Here's the Montana. Ooh, is my Montana running out of ink? I hope not. I tell you what, if it has, that is a downside. There we go. Silly devil. Okay, there's the Montana. The Blick. Oh, I also will tell you that the Copic, once again, was pretty streaky on this. So here we go.
Pink versus purple.
So was the Blick. Kraft Smart. Actually, Kraft Smart did the worst on the wood. I've tested these a few times. You can see it just doesn't even give you coverage. Look at that. Here's the Sharpie. And the Deco color. Which is very similar to the Sharpie. Well, even the Sharpie's showing, it looks to be a little streaky. Still, from what I've found, it still works the best on the wood, on pretty much everything. Okay, so that's the wood chip, and finally the domino. So I did two different dominoes. This one has, I think I mentioned this already, but this one has been coated with Mod Podge. So remember these with the open, and this one hasn't. And then I'll also show you briefly, in case you ever wanted to paint a domino that you had not put alcohol-based ink already on it. So one thing at a time. Let's start with this non-Mod Podged domino. What I have found is if you are using a StazOn, and I've reviewed a few ink pads as well. StazOn is really what works best for these dominoes. Anything else you'll get, they'll come right off really easily. The problem with that is that if you use an alcohol-based paint, it's going to take off the StazOn. So the alcohol-based, the Copic, the Blick, the Kraft Smart are actually going to start taking off your stamp. Okay, and I'll show you what that looks like. Let me show you with the Copic. Here comes my cat again. Okay, so let's just say I wanted to color the center here. As long as I stayed totally in the center and did not touch any of the stamp, we're fine. But if I wanted to outline this, it is starting to take off the black. You can actually see it on this piece of paper. You can see where the black is coming off. And I will show you on the, here's Blick. Okay, and here's, you can see the black coming off on there. So those are not, the alcohol based are not going to work real well on the non-Mod Podge Domino. The oil is fine. Here's the Sharpie. Sorry, I'm very distracted by my cat right now. And the only thing you need to be concerned with the oil base, the Sharpie, is that they are such a bold color and strong color that they are really going to cover up anything you've done with your stamp. So if I were to just run this through the center of the leaf, which I can do, which maybe you want to do. I kind of wish I had not chosen this stamp because there's not a lot for me to color in, but I guess I can just paint over it with the Sharpie. So depends on what you want to do. I guess I could still see some black in there, and that is not going to come off black on my Sharpie. And let me show you the deco color real quick on this other leaf. Okay, oh, that's even better. Okay, I've got to get rid of this cat. I'm sorry. Hold on. Tristan. Okay. Somebody really wants me to not be doing this. Okay, so alcohol inks, not great on this. Oil-based are fine. And then the water-based are also fine. So we've got the Montana here. It's black already, so it's really hard to tell. But you know what? Let me see if I can go over this. The Copic, and I can. So that is going to work really great, as you can see. That is a Montana. And then the Tombow, this is where they really shine. And the Tombow is going to work great on your dominoes. So I'm just going to, it's a real subtle color. You need to really use vibrant colors, darker colors on the dominoes with the Tombow. But they color in so beautifully on the dominoes. Sorry. Okay. So that is the Tombow on the non-sealed by Mod Podge domino. So let me pull out the sealed one. This is just, I just put a coating on Mod Podge to let it dry. The reason I'm not worried about it is because I will put a coat of resin over this before it's all done. So you will get lines from the Mod Podge, but those you won't be able to tell once you coat them. So now we're going to get out our alcohol-based Copic and Blick, and you will not have that same problem. Colors are very vivid. I'm not pulling off the black. It worked pretty nicely. Here we go. And yes, I need to take a remedial staying the line coloring class, and I'm not great at it. This is why I need extra fine tips. Here's the Blick. Here we go. So those are staying very nice and vibrant. And the black is not coming off onto my marker. Okay. There you go. So, what, in a nutshell, if you're not putting Mod Podge on your domino, make sure you're only using the water-based or the oil-based. If you are, the sky's the limit. You can use any one that you want. Now, on the unfinished side, I already did this. This is the Sharpie, and as you can see, it's completely covered that black. So you know the Sharpie is going to be fine. The deco color will be just as fine. Here we go. Get a little bit of, get rid of some of that glare. The Blick works pretty well. Maybe a little streaky, which continues to be an issue with these. The Copic does not perform so well on this. Very streaky. The Kraft Smart works fine. It's just like the other, or excuse me, it works fine regardless of being alcohol based or not. Boy, I just don't like these. It works okay, I mean, but it really only okay. You can see spots in there that it didn't cover, even when I ran back over it. The Montana works wonderfully as predicted. Boy, am I... There we go. And what am I missing? I'm missing the Tombow, which you can probably guess did not work well. I mean, it just peels right up again. Very watery. And then this can, of course, be wiped right off. And I think that is, yep, that is all of them. So if you're working on an unfinished, unalcohol ink stamped domino, you're going to want to stick with the oil base, maybe the Blick. Hold on one second, honey. Yeah, we'll do that next, okay? On a, and we already went over these. So in a nutshell, the Sharpie oil-based paints are still my favorite. I do like the deco color as well. If you can, still aren't that many colors, unfortunately. On Polymer Clay, my third choice is going to be the Blick. On Resin, my third choice is probably also going to be the Blick. I want to like, I mean, I definitely like the acrylic. I don't want to like them, the Montana, because they're so expensive, but I will probably in the future invest in them. I will tell you this though, they're hard to get open, and then this cap where you refill them is constantly unscrewing, which is not so great. Anyway, I hope this video was helpful to you. If you have any questions, please comment below. If I do more, if I get some more paint pens in the future, I will review those as well. I will also be doing a domino tutorial soon, and hopefully and I'll be using some of these paint pens then as well. All right, thank you so much. Bye-bye.